check. Let's get these volumes up. Okay. How's everybody doing? I see Carmen here, Billy here. Am I live? I mean, it says I'm live. I assume I'm live. I'll wait for someone to respond here. In the meantime, I probably should wait for you all to say something. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Showing a green light over here. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Yes. All right. Man, it's nerve-wracking coming on here live and not having a second to prepare. I had targeted some times, a couple different times today, to be able to get things ready, at least read what you guys had. I've only scanned. I haven't even consolidated, made a list of things I wanted to talk about. I have the Telegram up, and yes, I got the notification thing working. So, I would love to get into the astrology tonight. The goal here tonight is just to kind of lay it out on the table. I want to make it a priority to talk to the folks who are struggling. I did read that one. I haven't memorized who wrote what, but there was kind of this concept or this theme of what do we do now? I hate these ups and downs. I am a basket case, that kind of thing. And I get it. I have noticed that we are starting to see a divergence of the source information. And, this isn't maybe not all that much help, and I didn't get a chance to really get into today's stuff. I was just listening to Scott as I was getting the trash ready and get it outside. But he diverges from Mike Adams, and they diverge greatly from, I think, Simon, and then the bald guy. Oh gosh, I've had a long day. But these are seemingly diverging at least a little bit. The underlying concept is fairly steady and the same, and that is that we're moving back to republic. So great. And then there's also this no matter who's right or wrong, I think that the astrology, as above, so below, I think that the astrology, the alignments match more with pick any one of them. I think the astrology lines up with more of those rather than what I think you're seeing on mainstream media, although I really don't know because I don't even watch mainstream. I just kind of get the tidbits from the alternative news, so who knows? Let's see here. Well, let's check in. First of all, how about some thanks? And let's see. Yeah, thanks are definitely in order. For those of you who are still waiting on me to reply for like a astrology reading or some other reading or help a session, I'm going to hopefully limit this to maybe no more than 1 hour and then respond to you guys tonight if I haven't already. But I do appreciate the feedback. I also appreciate people streaming in to get services. I kind of want to go down that road of telling you what I'm thinking about in the future of the National Dream Center, intervention, therapy, all that stuff. And I even have this side project called High Performance Psychology. And that one went on fire today out of nowhere. I didn't build that a business yet because I wanted to see how it was working, but holy crap, now I've got a soccer team waiting for my services to come talk to a whole team of people. It hasn't been solidified yet, but this day was crazy. It was nuts. So I'll be honest. I think most of you are probably much more up to date on all the stuff going on out there. But I think that being said, what I'd first like to do is talk to these things because these things on Telegram. So I asked if you guys have any topics you want to discuss, and I saw quite a few people had responded to that. So I appreciate that. Um, let's sort of start from the top and see how far I can get down this list. We start with, wait, let me do it this way. Forward. Okay, there we go. Oh gosh. Okay, so it's not just one simple thread. All right. Well, how about I start how about a quick history of the DreamBot, and I'll talk real quick about the I-Ching. I know someone was wondering where that came from. And Chalamet, yes, I did read I scanned the 1776 report, and I also heard, I don't know if this is fake news or not, but the Biden regime, that's what Mike Adams wants us to call him, the Biden regime. Well, okay, fine. We're mainstream, so let's call it the Biden administration because we want to be proper, right? Because we are. We're conformist, and we say everything perfectly so that we don't get any dings on our video, right? Bot, right? AI. But anyway, yes, I did that, and I think the Biden administration deleted it on day one. I don't know. That might be fake news. But anyway, so DreamBot, just really quick, it's this software program developed by George Ure and his sidekick Grady up in Canada. And there used to be this Cliff High, the WebBot project. And interestingly, that one predicted, that's when I first got introduced into the WebBot, it was predicting the collapse of the market, and it to the exact week in, I think it was 2008 or 2009, I can't remember, but that huge drawdown in the stock market. That opened my eyes to this project. So I got really involved in it, at least reading it, entertained by it, predicting from it. And then, long story short, I met George Ure with the National Dream Center, took over his website from him, and he saw what I was doing with predictions. So he sent me this software program called Nostracotus, and he was using it for another predictive service. Him and Cliff kind of parted ways before I met George Ure, and he explained all this stuff, and there's no need to go into all that. But they were partners at first, had a falling out, and now they both have web bots. And so George, sent me his Nostracotus. I decided to apply that just to dreams, and then hence we call it DreamBot. What the WebBot program was, if you're not familiar with that, is it implies that if enough people are talking about something, I think Cliff High would say that there's something that's predictive in that, and then other people might say that we're actually creating it. I don't think it's any. I think it's the same side, or two different sides of the same coin, predicting and creating. But nonetheless, you start seeing a lot of the language. It leads what you actually see in the real world. And I thought that the dreams, because they're subconscious, you get a lot less of the agenda, right? Because the WebBot was going into Fox News, CNN, Google searches, etc. I'm only going into people's dreams. And so assuming that they're reporting their dreams correctly or accurately or with, reasonable words, then we can start seeing overlaps. And I'm looking at the change. I give it a surge score from, let's say, Bubba. Let's say Bubba, the word Bubba has 5 hits, and then the next day has 50 hits. That would probably be a huge surge score. So we're looking at the frequency of each word as compared to itself, not compared to all the rest of the words. And just so happens that the last week or so, and I haven't even done the DreamBot tonight, so we can't even talk about it. But the Atlas and Stranger still together, at least as of last night. So that's crazy. I think some of you commented there on that one. I think we are living in a time where I think someone commented that Atlas is the the Atlas is the god that was carrying the earth on his back, and if he shrugs, I don't know, does that mean he drops the earth or some, or the stranger? We're thinking maybe that's John Galt. I don't know. That's something that I don't feel like exploring right now. My head hurts. Not really. It doesn't hurt, but I did comment earlier that my Mercury. So I have a double Gemini in my astrology, meaning I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of thinking. Add on to that my Aquarius sun, and I do a lot of thinking. I'm in the air a lot, observing a lot, adapting a lot, but I have a lot of tasks going on, and that's kind of my comfort zone. But I commented today, and it's hot in here, I might have to turn the fan on, that I was feeling my brain fuses starting to smoke today as I was tossing around some plates, just metaphorically, just keeping them spinning, and I was overtasked. And you don't hear me complaining about that very much because I enjoy lots of tasks, especially if they're achieving goals that I want to achieve. All right. S. Nelson says, sorry, I can't attend. I'm definitely interested in the history of DreamBot. Okay, we covered that. And then how did you come to use the I-Ching? Well, what I noticed when I started these energy reports, the very early ones, they didn't have like a tarot or an I-Ching. They're just astrology. And this is as I was going through my training, and so just kind of working on things. Didn't have any viewers, whatsoever. And I started noticing all the other famous astrologers were using something else with the readings, such as mostly like tarot and maybe some other concepts. But I wanted to be different. And back up about, 5 years prior, I had gone through a mystical program that was actually accredited with the 9/11 GI Bill through Atlantic University. That's Edgar Cayce's university. So I was learning from an accredited institution about lots of things, mysticism. That's where I learned human design, astrology, dreams, big time dream. We did a lot of dream work. And then Edgar Cayce was also interested in well, no, I meant to say Carl Jung was in the curriculum, and he was very interested in astrology, mandalas, and the I-Ching. And I said, I have a little bit of exposure to the I-Ching. I wonder if, because Carl Jung was always mesmerized by how accurate the I-Ching was. And so I started using it, and then I started incorporating it into the astrology readings. And right off the bat, right off the get-go, I was hooked. And so anyway, that's the answer to that. Thanks for the question. And then Shalami says, I've been using the Wilhelm Baines version of the I-Ching for over 30 years. Okay. And then she says that she likes that I'm using it in the report. So good. Just one thing about the I-Ching, the way it's supposed to be used is the energy is always shifting and changing. And so it's trying to show you the vector of where energy is going from one to the other. It shows the first hexagram shows you where the energy is right now. And then the second hexagram shows you how that energy is going to transform. So I do make very specific intentions to match what we do here. So I ask that, I ask anybody that wants to show up, but I have 3 requirements for them to be a part of the reading. And the first requirement is that they must honor humankind's free will. They must be acting in the best interest of mankind, humans in general. And then third is they must have direct knowledge of the coming energies between this time so that they can prioritize and give me just the biggest energy. So I ask for the first hexagram is the biggest energy that everyone everyone on Earth, all the humans here, has a chance of feeling this energy. that's the first hexagram. And then if there's a better hexagram that depicts a behavior associated with maximizing that energy, if there's a better hexagram that represents that, make that the second hexagram. So it's not exactly what the I-Ching is supposed to, but just like anything in the transpersonal world, including dreams, I mean, even dice, any sort of scrying, there's the intention is everything. And that's what Edgar Cayce would probably agree with too. So anyway, that's how I lay out those intentions. I don't have the hexagrams memorized, and I thought like I was sort of inadequate, untrained in that regard. But especially in these last few weeks, I've been noticing that I'm glad that I don't have that memorized, because as I'm tossing these coins and writing down from the bottom up on the 6 lines, that I have no idea what it's going to be. And so I think my subconscious has encouraged me to not memorize what they are. And I did start making an effort to do that, but it just failed. And so I'm actually glad it was, because I do that upstairs. I get the hexagram. I have no idea what it is. I come down here, apply it to my stencil, and then I figure, and then, obviously now I know what it's called, what number it is. And these last few months, especially because we all kind of know what the energy is going to be. And if we were to like leaf through the hexagrams, I bet most of us would have picked some of the energies from some of the I-Chings that have come up in the last few weeks. So I'm just startled. I'm amazed at how accurate it is. And I think it adds a lot of benefit to the astrology, because, like you're looking at a T-square here, but there's multiple points. There's multiple energies here. There's missing planets down here. There's a lot going on in the sky, and a lot of conjuncts. You tell me what the strongest energy is in that snapshot. It would be, it's very difficult. I mean, sometimes it's easy. So some of those early ones, those reports, it's just full moon and nothing else. So that was easy. I mean, what else could be more powerful than that? But in most of these snapshots, especially over a course of a week, it's very hard to guess which energy is going to be the strongest. So anyway, I don't know if that makes sense to all of you, but it sure makes sense to me, and it seems like it's been verified week in and week out. Now, that being said, this last influence was shock. And the only shock that we really had is that nothing happened. It's not a lot of shock to a lot of people, but you get my drift. But the week's not even, the week has just started. This is day 1 of the shock week. So there's 6 more days left to see whether or not the other version of shock will take place. Shalomie also says, I'm wondering if you have, yes, I've read that report. Have all of you read that report? All right, let me see some others. 2 comments here. Yeah, there's that one I can't read. I can't read that one out loud because we'll get dinged. Dale, thanks for the Cliff High info. That's interesting. And his rate of being successful, that first one, that was a huge hit. And I have noticed kind of an up and down cycle of his accuracy. I'm not judging him. It's just predicting the future is very difficult. I think the easiest way that I've found to accurately predict the future is dreams and collective dreams, everybody with the same intention. If you're interested in this concept, there were about 83 dreamers around the world. We did Project August in 2014 in the National Dream Center. I made 119 headlines, predictive headlines, somewhat like Cliff High would do. and 101 of them came true with an average accuracy, all those of 4 out of 5. And so give you one example, there was an outbreak, but Ebola was not even in anybody's radar in May of 2014. It was Project August, so we were predicting for August. Well, everyone has been dreaming about these people dropping dead of an outbreak. So I'm like, well, okay, I guess there might be an outbreak. So I wrote down 1,200 lives. Let's see. Outbreak claims 1,200 lives in eastern Montana. Well, do you know what the actual headline was on August 15th? It said Ebola claims 1,200 lives. But it wasn't Montana. It wasn't even the U.S. It was over in Sri Lanka or something around there in Africa. So the location was way off, but like 1,200, the exact number on the headline came true. That blew my mind. And so anyway, predictions can happen. I just haven't cracked the nut on astrology yet. I know there's some gifted people, but I also know there's some people who made predictions on the astrology, got it wrong, and I guess they're deleting their videos now. So I don't want to do that. If I'm making predictions, I'll leave it up there for you. The one thing I did, I think it was last year, was the Super Bowl. I mean, heck, it was a 50-50. Got it wrong. And like, you can't predict people's reaction to the energy. That's why I say you can accurately predict the energy. You can't predict how people are going to react off of that energy, or it's harder. But I think precognitive dreams is the ticket there, especially when they overlap from dreamer to dreamer. That's why I like telepathic dreaming. All right, continuing on. Parissa says, I need help. Going through the ups and downs we had up to this point, I kept my hope and faith and encouraged others, but now, to be honest, I am feeling anxious, as I heard from Simon Parks, that he was told by his sources that something went wrong, and that's why the operation we all expected to see stopped. That's what I'm talking about. And I was able to listen to Mike Adams, and that's a totally different story. I'm about halfway through Patriot Street Fighter, Scott, to see what he has to say. He doesn't rail on Simon. He doesn't rail on the other folks that have different stories, but it is interesting how they have different versions. I am losing hope now. What can we expect? What is next? Can we still be hopeful for something to save us and our country and the world from these satanic powers? Can I say satanic? I don't even know. I hear ya, and I find myself wallowing every once in a while, going like, really? You still gonna buy into this stuff? You know? And who knows? We don't want to be taken. We don't want to be used, programmed. We don't want to be manipulated. And so I have something in my chart, in my design, that's a manipulation. It's a hypersensitive manipulation reader. So it's almost too sensitive. So even if a person doesn't know they're trying to manipulate me, I can tell. I've kind of periodically have sort of felt that sensation going off, but I guess it's one of those things where it's so big, it's so beyond you, even if they're wrong, even if you're being manipulated and played. And what's the goal there? Well, to be pacified and not do anything. Well, what's the alternative to that? Storm somewhere by yourself, and it's just unrealistic. It's bigger than us. It doesn't mean give up and hope, but here's the other problem I have is this whole kind of built into our DNA, and that's according to Zachariah Sitchin, and then some ancillary work from there. The 12 planets. We have this sort of slave gene, which requires always needing a savior. And this isn't a slant against Jesus or Christianity. That's not what I'm doing. It's just that maybe what it is. Well, okay, so I'll bring in David Wilcock's stuff, The Law of One. It's not his stuff. He just talks about it a lot. But in it requires us to be open and accepting if you're on the service to others' side. And then you have the service to self people. Well, if you're trying to mix the two, this is where you end up with pushing along, and you maybe accidentally controlling other people, and then realizing that your humanness and your vulnerability and your eventual demise, and hence then needing a savior. But maybe that is part of the programming. I don't know. Not like 17, or not the anti-17, or the racism, the social injustice. Maybe not any of that stuff. It's a deeper one, like like in our genes, in our DNA. It's like according to Sitchin, you can't help it. You need somebody, a savior, to save you from this thing. I'm not saying it's wrong. And ironically, there are times where I needed to be saved in my life. And I was helped. I was at a bottom in my life. I had no money. I lost everything a couple times. And I was saved. So ironically, maybe this is just one of those cycles, up and down. Sometimes you need to be saved. Sometimes you need to save yourself. But that doesn't really answer the question. I think Kirsten, I think she has some great advice here, I believe, is what I remember. Let's read Kirsten's response. Just a thought here, perhaps it will help. Evil screams the loudest when exposed to the light. That's true. If they weren't exposed for what they are, they wouldn't be pushing all their agendas forward as fast as they are doing, because they would still have the shroud of darkness. Personally, I think it is up to us to collectively to finish this job without a savior. Wow. Kirsten, are we sort of saying the same thing? Maybe it's up to us to solve it, but how? Is it all just a mental creation thing? Or is it something more than that? Be careful who you listen to. Okay. Trust your gut. We are the majority, not them. I do agree with that. Don't expect anything and you won't be disappointed. Do your best to stay out of fear. I totally agree. Totally agree with that. Fear is the best weapon the enemy has right now. Be careful who you listen to. If it brings you fear, shut it off. Breathe. Find your center. Pray. Connect to God and remain present. We are truly experiencing a revolution. The war is for your mind. Why? Why would they want our mind? I think it goes back to the importance of the DreamBot. This is what Hitler wanted. He wanted to convince it was the collective mind. I wrote an article on this at National Dream Center. I think it's the first post. It's kind of an old post, but it talked about all these manipulators over time they were vying for, and now you got the corporations vying for your mind at a more of a collective level, because that collective influence is important, and it's beyond just peer pressure. It goes deeper than that. Because we want to be accepted, we will tend to conform as a default to the rest of the group. And I think they know that. Like you had in Nazi Germany, you had like not even the police were the most common people bringing in the Jews. It was the neighbors snitching. So I know that's what they're trying to sway here. And that scares the bejesus out of me. But I'm not going to live in fear. And Kirsten, thanks for that input, but also thank you for all your time and donation. Thank you for your help. It's very poignant and a lot of food for thought here. Let's see. Someone in this group earlier recommended the vid from Bar. I haven't gotten to pay attention to that one. Julia says, cool. We'll try. Done with. Okay. Chris, you should ask Uncle Cliff if he'd do a video session with you, not live stream. I can't, just because my allegiance more is with George Ure, and I would hate to sever that. Almost a bridge. He's not a hateful guy. He's not a resentful guy. He's very forgiving. But I know the delicacy of that. I'd rather we'll maybe bring George on. He's already agreed to just whenever you want, let me know. And he runs urbansurvival.com, more of a financial predictor, and long waves. Good alternative thinker. So the answer is no. I don't even know Cliff personally. I've just studied his material. Okay. And then Julie also says, how about discussing some of the other systems you're thinking about incorporating into CIRF over time? I wanted the Schumann resonance. That one worked pretty well, and I had developed a system, but I just had a unreliable website to go to, so got rid of the Schumann resonance. But she also talks about Magi astrology, financial astrology. I am interested in including harmonic astrology, which is vibrational astrology. I have it in my software. I just don't know how to use it yet. So I need to figure that out. Okay. Okay, and then Wilhelm Baines. Yep, I'm rereading these. I've reported. Okay, yeah, that's the other post about the inappropriate Twitter feeds that Terry says are some were obviously Jack's own accounts. That's freaking crazy. She apparently turned some of them in to Twitter and the FBI, and of course nothing happens. All right, let's shift over here to your recent comments and see where we need to go. Was any of that helpful so far? Hey Cody, not for me to say. Kat, how is everybody? Parissa, Terry's here. Billy, Kirsten, Milos. Hi, I made it. This is typical comment. Milos, I love the short, succinct. Hey, I'm here. I love it. Love it. No one you know. Take a step back and think for a minute. Why would those running a military operation, if there actually is one, tell these internet personalities anything real? They care more about OPSEC. I completely agree. And having been in the military, I know about reading in and security levels and all that. But one thing that you mentioned is, okay, so I think what I'm inferring from No One You Know is that either the personalities that we're listening to on YouTube and various places around the web are shills, or the information that they're getting, it can't possibly be from the military, just like No One You Know says that they wouldn't be sharing these things. And one thing I'm worried about after listening to Mike Adams is that maybe did everyone see the video of the military kind of turning their backs on Biden caravan thing? And I also saw a lack of saluting back and forth between Marines and Biden. That was interesting. But not everybody thinks that way. Some people were facing towards the cars. So I'm thinking that one of our risks is a disagreement across the military. That's what I'm most worried. What if that's the thing that Simon mentioned, is that something went wrong? Well, maybe you didn't get enough support, or maybe you had a key leader that wouldn't go along with it. Something along those lines. I don't know. And then we get to everyone just getting weary of waiting, tired of the hopes only to get let down later. I get it. And so how do we deal with that? I think Kirsten said a lot of good things about being present. I also told a client that yesterday he mentioned that things aren't good. and it was all political sort of a statement. And I said, what sort of things is this affecting you personally on at this point? She said, nothing. I said, exactly. So time now to just chill. And if you're afraid of being too passive and we're missing an opportunity, here my answer is, I think the time will come for you to know that. And how you know that is when you're being affected personally by these big, what could be totally fake things on one way or the other, could be totally fake. And so the time to know when it's the call to action isn't when someone in the personality on the video tells you to go storm the castle. It's the time when you're being affected by it personally, your family or your community, something like that. That's my opinion. And I bet you if something comes to that like that, you're going to see multiple communities being affected at exact the same time. And so this goes back to the collective mind, but it also collective survival, because we're not supposed to live in fear, but I don't want you ignoring fear. Fear, okay, how about this? Authentic fear will give you the clues about when it's time to do some sort of behavior, save a life, go fight, whatever. Not necessarily when someone's telling you to do it. And likewise, the opposite. Just because they're telling you to be passive and just watch the movie, it doesn't mean that's wrong, but it doesn't make it right either. You have to look at, Kirsten talked about how you want to be using your own intuition. And if you know how to use this, if you're interested in I talked to Bill Bennett, and he wrote a book about the personal guidance system. It's basically just all intuition, but there's a science to it. I did an interview with him on interzension.com. Go to radio and look up Bill Bennett. He'll talk about the PGS, the personal guidance system. I highly recommend that. And when you're getting further away from yourself and your intuition, it is definitely time to shut everything down and center. Walk outside, take your shoes off, get in the grass and ground yourself. Meditate, but likewise, if you're passive all day or not moving all day, I think the opposite should be true. Go exercise, go run a mile, go expend a bunch of energy. Depending on I'm a big believer in good energy management. And just, some people, okay, for example, have a very sedentary job, sit at a computer all day. And so they wanted to know why they can't focus or whatever. And, or why am I so angry? It was an anger management problem in this example. And so we looked at just how he spends his energy. And he spends his energy just sitting at the computer, very sedentary, and meditates. Like, I don't think that's the good management for you. Because you just sit around all day, I think you need to get up and do some extreme expenditure of your energy. It's cooped up. Anger kind of implies there's this there's more than just cooped up energy, but it's a big one. And you can dispel a lot of potential anger, frustration by expending it in workouts. I do not that I don't even know why I'm saying this, but I do my workouts because my job is counseling and astrology readings and just basically hours at a time sitting and helping people, but it's a lot of sitting and a lot of not moving. And so I need to get up and walk around and get a rebounder in between sessions and get the blood moving, and then halfway through the afternoon pour everything I got into a workout, not to get big or look good or anything, but just for this energy management thing. I see a lot of people get sucked into the sedentary lifestyle and then they wonder why they're depressed. That could be it. Poor energy. It's not everything. Every technique that I have, like I talked to a gal this afternoon about this depression, and we hit on at least 7 things that she can do in the next month to bring that mood up. Not to get rid of depression, but to use it to instruct you about what you should be doing. Guess what? Very sedentary, not moving. So that was a big one. All right. Well, that was a long discussion. Billy says they freaked out when Jesus did not jump off the cross, but all is well. Hold the line. Yeah. There is that sort of, there is an archetype right there. And I love the work of Carl Jung did a lot of archetypes. I'm not an expert in his archetypes, but I like using the astrology as a form of archetype. And I also like using religious of all different types of religious, the bigger versions of those as archetypes. And one of the archetypes of Jesus is not just savior, not just son, which I love that metaphor, the varying forms of son, but also martyr. And there's a big martyr that I've seen around, and not having to do with Jesus, but just, well, there's Operation Martyr that we need to be aware of. And that one, I can't remember what that one was for. Anyway, so watch out. I think they want you to be a martyr. Oh, that's what it was. The Capitol buildings. They were trying to get people to come to the Capitol buildings, and nobody ended up showing up. Just the people that were paid to show up. So they couldn't get any real death thing going. Let me skip through here. Oh man, I'm missing so much good stuff. Teresa, medical wonder, could not be happier. I'm going to hang back and let others get help. I'm doing well and had my own. No, anyway. Parissa, does anyone see the video released by the White House? YouTube recorded Hunter Biden saying something like accepting a plea sentence. I'm interested in that one. Maybe share the link. If anybody knows where that is, go to the Telegram and share the link, please. Poll shift. I saw that vid, Parissa. It was weird. Who is John Galt? Not for me to say. I agree with you. Who is John Galt? They never really answer it. I feel like we are watching a clown show out there in lamestream world. Kirsten, are you actually watching lamestream? I applaud you if you are. I don't have the guts. Well, I don't have the time. I just don't have the interest. There's just something about that frequency coming out of those channels, and it's just draining. Takes you down. I'm going to skip to the end and start reading up because there's a lot of activity here. Bulbous Maximus, welcome, big guy. Can't help but think shutting down gyms and such was thought out, knowing how good a workout is for mental health. Oh man. Oh, I quit two. I know it sounds weird, but I had 2 gym memberships because I was traveling a lot and I needed one. The Planet Fitness, you can go anywhere. Well, I got rid of both of them because I created a great system here in the house and outside too when it's warm. I am into martial arts and all dojos are being interfered with. That's sad to hear. I do have a client who's a higher end of the jitsu, and we're working on better focus and more higher performance. And that one, it's interesting. He actually did the world fight down in, I think, Orlando. Said there wasn't anybody there, but the competitions are existing at least. But so I can confirm that they're being affected. And now Kirsten answered me, I think, and she says no. I don't remember what I even asked. Were you watching lamestream? Is anybody watching lamestream? Is anybody going to be watching the rest of the NFL, the most important games? I'm going to try. I'll give it a try this weekend, just because, and see if I can notice something. At least I can digest that better than CNN. You have to think for yourself. Co-made, giving equal time to physical and mental workouts. Yes, I totally agree. What else was I wanted to make an announcement. So I'm having a lot of it. I'm bulging at the seams with scheduling, and I appreciate that. It's probably time. Fortunately, it's it's coming in with more of my life coaching and astrology and human design reading things. I call that transformational services. And it used to be my backbone was the psychotherapy, and that's where all the money was being made. Well, now the astrology stuff is starting to edge up, not quite to 50-50, but I need to make some changes in this so I can facilitate more without sacrificing. So what I'm going to do is the people who have already submitted, don't worry about this. We're going to be doing the old, 50-ish minutes, 50 to 60 minutes readings, but I didn't want to increase the price to match my psychotherapy because I still wanted to make it affordable. But what I'm going to do is cut the time basically in half to a 30-minute session, same price. And that's going to start March 1st. And that's going to help bridge what I think is going to happen is that's also to facilitate time for me to get to these other things that I want to do here at the National Dream Center. I'm so excited. I just need time. I need time to develop the plan. I do want to make a video outlining what I expect to do, but I can't, I'm not in a hurry there because I know what services I want to provide. I don't know what platform I want to do this on because I don't know if Utsava is going to be right where Google gets shut down, YouTube gets shut down, and then what? So I don't want to commit to the plan until I have a better idea for what platforms are going to even be available. But I don't even have that plan yet, so I can't talk to it. But something like a Patreon for a subscription thing. Obviously keeping all of the free services I do and then adding some, maybe like a group kind of a thing. But I will hopefully be rolling that out sometime as kind of a sketch of what's available. Right now, how about free services for you, for all of you? You can go to interzention.com and you can find the free foundation roadmap to inner peace. That's free. You just have to provide your email, and might as well, because that adds you to a subscription list of emails. So in case YouTube does go down, Telegram does. By the way, Apple is taking away Telegram, or they're trying to. Okay, so be aware of that. So if you go to interzention.com, you can subscribe, or you can get the foundation PDF, download several pages about all the things you need to consider for good mental health, but inner peace. Focus is on inner peace. Okay. And then if you can find an area that you'd like help in, then that's hit me up. We'll do a session if you want. But all those are free. Then the radio shows from Interzention are free. I even talked to the originator of ACT therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, Stephen Hayes. They even offered, when he wrote his next book, they offered to give me that book. So they sent me the book. I got to read it. It's phenomenal, great, just impeccable writing. In hopes that I would do another interview, and I wanted to interview, but I just didn't have time. Anyway. So that sounds like I'm complaining. Also, coming forth is a rolling out like a hypnotherapy thing, and that runs across all of the services, including high performance, psychology, inner peace, interzention, and then even dreams and National Dream Center, how to maybe sleep better, the nighttime stuff. And then I'm thinking about like hypno astrology somehow. I'll leave it at that. Maybe talk about, because I don't have full understanding about what I'm being shown in that, but it's very creative. I think it's be brand new, hopefully. Okay, here's the video in the middle of Biden speaking with Hunter breaking in around 1 hour and 6. Okay, I shouldn't play that here, but I will definitely view that. Guys, you get on Telegram, National Dream Center, Telegram, all one word, National Dream Center, and just click join and go to Kirsten has a response to the New York Post Twitter, I think, Twitter refused. And it's the Biden video that I think people were talking about. Cody, I think it's super awesome. You're a fighter pilot with that much combat time. Well, thank you. Now it's surprising how you can be in a very prestigious job. It was something I always wanted to do, following in my dad's footsteps, but it was what I wanted to do. Worked very hard for it. Very proud of it. I had to go the back way because my eyes aren't good. I had to get a waiver and all that. And but it's amazing when you start losing purpose and meaning. Even the most prestigious jobs can feel like a dread. Like imagine not wanting to go to work. That's why I was for several years. I was on the fence of getting out early, but I hung in there, gritted it out, and I'm glad I did. Kat says battle fatigue. Yeah, I think, there's a lot to that. I don't know how much more battle we have to do. I think the battle's going to be in our own heads, conflicted. Do I wait? Do I wait? Do I do something? Do I share this, or do I get ridiculed by my family, or just stay quiet and hopefully I don't get judged? Clearly, the First Amendment is the top priority. They want to cut out our voices. That's what makes us feel separated. That's what makes us feel vulnerable. That's what makes us feel like we need a savior. And maybe we do need a savior, but maybe it's all an illusion. You pull back the curtains and there's just this little mannequin guy, and through the curtain looked like he was this big, huge, giant, scary. And maybe he's not so scary. Maybe he is. In the past, probably just undoable. They're willing to kill presidents. We know that. So they are evil, willing to do horrible things at a massive scale. That is evil. But maybe that old programming is still latent and we live in fear because we think it's bigger than it really is. I'm hoping that, because I think that they have cut away a lot of our own self-acceptance and self-confidence. They do that to keep us small, feeling small, and hence wanting a savior, which they want to jump in and say, oh, let me be your savior. Like, here, I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. The biggest lie known to man. Co-Maid says, I've been following George Ure and his blog for years. Okay. No one Okay, never mind. George Ure would be great too. So you guys are familiar. Paid Roberto. How you doing, Roberto? Paid for my peace of mind with thousands of hours of informed research from clean sources. We're safe. And the surprise ending is around the corner. Roberto, if you're still here, can you confirm or deny the main influence for this week is shock? And so is that the same thing that you're talking about as surprise? The surprise ending is around the corner. And if so, in your best estimation, is that going to happen within this CIRF week, which is from today until next Wednesday? Wednesday being the 27th. Will it happen by the 27th? Well, anyway, while we're waiting for him to answer, not for me to say, says I use ACT. And you know what? It doesn't have to be therapy. They also have acceptance and commitment training. And this is non-therapy, but it's exactly the same principles Dr. Stephen Hayes told us in the training. And it's more of a way of life than a therapy. That's why I like it. It's very adaptable. If you know the principles, these are the 6 principles that express in people of high performance, high adaptability, high psychological flexibility, high intelligence. I think that's what he said. High commitment levels, high focus. These 6 principles. So things like it's basically mindfulness, being present, awareness, acceptance, hence the name, commitment, committed action. So that's 3. Diffusion. It's not diffusion, but diffusion. Being able to see that you're thinking is separating your awareness from your thoughts, separating your awareness from your emotions. You're not losing yourself in it. So that's a state of fusion. So you've got self as context. It's a very spiritual sort of conversation. We got values, what's important to you. And then probably one more. Anyway, I'll come think of it. Kirsten says, just my 2 cents, but thinking there's no way we can predict dates on any of what is happening. Doesn't work that way. Yeah. Maybe we'll be here for another 20 years going, maybe it's tomorrow. I doubt it. I doubt it. Is ascension part of this process? Are we ascending as a collective in the law of one? Are we harvesting only the people who are ready? Are we harvesting to the next level? Yeah, not for me to say, says no fusing to the negative. Yes, that's correct. Really not fusing with anything that's sort of internal, keeping a differentiation between our awareness, which is sort of a self as context, and then the experience around us and in us is sort of a separate thing. It's our bubble of awareness moving through life with a variety of different experiences. With all the squares that have been happening, I'm still hopeful something big will happen. Yeah, you know what? I agree, Cody. And let's look at that real quick. So, 28th. I'm at the end of the week. Remember that the warriors on both sides, this will be my last thing. I've got to get going and respond to those of you who called today. We have basically, this doesn't make sense. This is not what I was thinking. We're on this week. There we go. I was on the next week. So all those squares are producing a lot of pressure, like we talked about, a lot of tension. Wouldn't you think that's got to go somewhere? I think a lot of this can be explained by Antifa. I think a lot of it can be explained by, I think the perfect explanation, at least part of this, I expect more, but big part of it is 30 to, some people are saying 60,000 troops in Washington, D.C., locking this thing down. I'm waiting for bulldozers to come in and just bulldoze the whole thing down. That'd be interesting. I guess I would imagine arrest would have to happen first. But we have wounded warriors on both sides of this. You know, Mars, Uranus, the rebel and the warrior We've been through all this, but does that mean because of this magnificent pressure inside here on these squares, there's no outlets because the sun's maimed, Mars is maimed? On that's both sides of this thing are weak. So there's no outlet. It's just you have to just suffer through this tension and pressure. Maybe that's what this is all about. That would make sense, but that's way too much squares and conflicted squares to not produce something. Part of that is showing up in Portland with Antifa. I mean, why the hell are they burning things down? Does that make any sense to anybody? Your 20-year line made me laugh. Favorite line from As Good as It Gets. Yeah, right. All right. Well, thanks for your participation, everybody. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on here. I don't know okay, so what I know is that Thursday night about this time is not sustainable for me, at least until I fix this this appointment thing that I've got a problem. I work really late on that night in particular, and then butt it up. That's not going to work. So I've got to figure something else out. I don't think I can move that stuff on Thursday. I've got my kids every other weekend, so that makes it hard to do any sort of consistency every week on the weekend, but I can do every other weekend. I don't know. I like these. And if you like them, then, and it gives you value. That's what I'm concerned about. Does this give you value? And if so, let's do more of them. But other than that, it's great practice for us to communicate together, have a tribe. We're all suffering in this together. We all have this same pressure for feeling. And so maybe the answer, this is something that just came to me. Maybe it is get out there and do some heavy lifting of what matters to you in terms of exercise, in terms of energy expenditure, unless you're a construction worker that always, like you're building brick walls all day. I wouldn't do an addition exercise. You would do the reverse. You would do more meditation, but this is a lot of cooped up energy here and we're all feeling it. It's a lot of pressure. Make sure you're moving, make sure you're expending your energy appropriately, but also maintaining your energy appropriately, not staying up all night, not living in fear and anxiety and all that. Hang out with your friends, hang out with your family that are healthy for you. And that's about it. We've got a full moon coming up. That's going to be in the next surf report. But remember, the surf report's on a Wednesday. That Thursday is another full moon. And I talked briefly, if you want more insight about that, then go look at the last surf report. At the end of the astrology, I talked about it. Thanks, Jay. Jay back. Thank you for all you do. Truth and love prevails. Yeah. Togetherness dissolves, oxytocin dissolves cortisol. So it relaxes you. So let's stay together. Let's have the sensation we're together. We don't have to all have the same ideas. If you're wanting updates from these people, they don't all have to have the same story. In fact, that would probably be a red flag. Should be a red flag if everyone had the exact same story. That would be a psyop. But the fact that they do have different stories maybe means that it's not a psyop. Who knows? All right. I'm out of here, everybody. Thanks again. And I think we'll keep this video. It's not my favorite video for lots of reasons, but I don't think it hinges on hitting any of the AI red flags. And so therefore, I don't think we'll be in any sort of risk for keeping the video. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. See you on Wednesday. Bye.